Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to give you some preliminary information about the circumstances that happened here today. At about 9:12 this morning, we received a call into our communication center from an individual that thought that possibly her ex-boyfriend was inside her residence and had no reason to be inside there. She was fearful, and she called for our police department to go to determine if that suspect was inside. She wasn't sure, but thought it possibly that he was inside. And I would tell you, she made the exact right call. Our officers arrived on scene, and they asked for the suspect to see if there was any noise from inside, to see if there was any response from inside. No one came to the door. They didn't hear any sounds from inside. So to determine if in fact somebody was inside the residence, for her to safely go back inside, they entered the residence. As soon as they entered the residence, they were met with gunfire. One of the rounds just narrowly missed one of our police officers. One of our officers, at least one of our officers, returned fire in order to have a tactical retreat from our police officers that were inside. We set up containment to try to contain the suspect that was inside, called for an emergency response, more resources to respond out to the scene. We had a large coordinated response from our SWAT team, from our emergency negotiation team, from other police officers from throughout the city on our primary response team, from school police, from our fire department, again, our emergency negotiation team, other members of our SWAT team. We had also from the sheriff's department also came to assist. And as we were setting up a perimeter to make sure that the suspect was contained inside that apartment, we started to hear more shots from a balcony rooftop area out into our neighborhood, when you have residents and citizens that are just out walking around, just enjoying the day, and we started to hear more gunshots from that area from the suspect. A perimeter was set so we can make sure that our citizens were safe. As our officers were setting up the perimeter, making sure that evacuations were being conducted not only inside that apartment complex, but also the nearby area, and also those that were on the street. Our officers again were met by gunfire. Again, our officers said that they were being fired upon. At least one other additional officer fired upon the suspect. The suspect then retreated back into the residence. Our emergency negotiation team was able to make contact with the suspect, and long negotiations continued, long communications continued. The suspect, during this long negotiations, long communications, would continue to fire his weapon from inside the residence out into the neighborhood and at our officers. Our SWAT team did deploy gas on numerous occasions, and then eventually the suspect did surrender, and he was taken into custody, and we did find 2 weapons at the scene. One looks to be an AK-47 type weapon. We'll have that confirmed during the methodical, comprehensive investigation. And there was another handgun that was also found at the scene. We are just so grateful, so thankful that no innocent people, no police officers, no one was injured during this incident. We are still checking the neighborhood, still checking other residences just to confirm that everybody is okay. But from what we understand right now, we're just grateful that no one was injured during this, and the suspect was taken into custody. We'll go ahead and take some questions.
Chief, how many shots fired do you think?
Numerous. I could tell you that even when I arrived on scene, is that I heard rapid fire, gunfire from the suspect. Numerous rounds from the suspect were fired. I couldn't tell you how many. And I do want to also thank all the first responders, our fire department, that work so closely with our police officers, our SWAT team. I will tell you, it's unprecedented, but how we've been training recently is exactly this response to an active shooter situation, is that when our police officers, our SWAT team is working in conjunction with our fire department to, in case we did, as we were doing evacuations and setting the perimeter and looking for potential victims, is that our fire department was right there with us, immediately would be able to render first aid if we did come across someone, and that's unprecedented. The amount of cooperation that we have with everyone, and want to thank our fire department, the sheriff's department, ATF was also on scene, and so many law enforcement, fire and law enforcement first responders that came together. You know, we had something very very wonderful here in the county of San Diego, that we're one team, and we all come together when there's a situation like this, and everybody came together today.
Can you tell me about how close those bullets came to the officer who responded?
Well, the first officers that entered the residence, officers were telling us that it just narrowly missed them, and then other officers that were trying to set up the containment, the perimeter, said that they are hearing rounds that are going, gunfire going right past them.
Can you tell us about the suspect, that he got priors?
Yeah, I can identify, yes, I do have that information to identify the suspect. I have the information as the suspect is a Titus Colbert, date of birth of 4/23/1982, and he will be booked into jail for numerous charges, including attempt murder of several police officers. Yes, what happened is that, the question was, if you didn't hear, is that what happened right when he surrendered. We had been talking with him, our emergency negotiation team had been talking with him, also officers that were on scene through a bullhorn had been talking to him. We gave him, for a long time, very methodical instructions to make sure that he throws the weapons outside. He does not come out with any weapons, and it took several hours, but eventually he did throw the weapons outside, and he did peacefully surrender, and he was taken into custody. The investigation will determine exactly what the potentially what the motivation was of him for the original, for what he did. We have a lot of work to do, as you can imagine. It's going to be a long night to process the scene, to talk to everyone that was here, to talk to the suspect, to talk again to the original reporting party. At this point, we have no information on what the motive was. I have no information on that.
During the negotiations, did he make any particular demands or any statements of what was going on?
There was a lot of things said during the negotiations. I'm not going to get into the details of that, but the whole purpose of the negotiations was to get him to peacefully surrender, and that's exactly what happened.
Can you talk about the importance of diverting traffic at Lindbergh to better safety cars?
Yes, the question was, as far as the aircraft, as you see that the aircraft comes very low here. Initial reports is that he had a high-powered weapon. With the aircraft being so low, we wanted to make sure that the Lindbergh Field had that information of the scene that we were working, and just be aware of the circumstances that we were working. We have no information on that. We're going to determine, that investigation will determine how he obtained those weapons.
Any priors of the suspect?
I don't have the criminal history of the suspect specifically at this point.
Is he a San Diego resident?
I don't have the specifics on that exactly. Don't have much more on the suspect. That will be determined during the investigation. We know of two guns. One was a handgun. Another one was what looked like to be an AK-47 type weapon. Once we're able to recover the weapon during the investigation, we'll be able to determine exactly what type of weapon it was. Once we search the residence, we'll be able to again determine if there's any other additional weapons inside.
Was the woman in the apartment with the shooter at any time?
She was not. No, she was not. All right? Okay. Thank you all very much. Thank you. I want to thank you also just for putting out that information. The safety of our public, the safety of our officers, obviously today was a very dramatic, intense, dynamic, quickly evolving situation, and having that information out to get that not only from the police department but from all of you to warn our public of the situation that we had. We appreciate your assistance. Thank you.